If you don't own a pet, you probably don't fully get the hype around them. This channel itself is named after my cat Bruce, which tends to confuse anyone stumbling across our content for the first time. I'm Kevin, Bruce is the cat, we also have a dog named Andy. So why all this pet talk? Well, unsurprisingly, Crusader Kings 3 lets you have a pet. Technically, there are about 7 possible companions, but only 5 come with any real content. Cats, dogs, hunting eagles, warhorses, and even a pet rock. They all follow similar patterns. You'll get an event where someone gifts or discovers one of these creatures, you name them, and then they sit in your modifier panel, giving you small bonuses. Over time, you'll see an event pop up that lets you interact with them more. Sadly though, most of these pets only stick around for about 11 to 16 years, so you've got to make the most of the time you have with them. While digging into the mechanics, I found out something interesting. Pets give you a 33% chance to save your character if a murder scheme targets you, plus a tiny chance to expose plots entirely, which got me wondering, if you have multiple pets, does that bonus stack? We tested it a couple of times and we're not able to see the pet 1 save us even when we had 5 main pets. Anyways, enough gushing about joys of medieval pets. Let's rank them and figure out which one, in my opinion, is the best of the bunch. Before we dive into cats and how they work in CK3, let's quickly talk about debug mode. This is a handy mode that lets you input console commands, which is especially useful for a video like this, since a lot of the pet events can be tough to trigger naturally. Debug also revealed several events I didn't even know existed, so we get to experience those today. So if you notice the events in the videos looking a little different, that's because of the extra debug mode information on screen. Now, onto cats. Like most pets in Crusader Kings 3, you can get one through friends, a lover, or the cat distribution system, aka random events. Cats are fantastic because right off the bat, they boost your intrigue and learning, and you can even pet them every 5 years, which feels cruelly infrequent, but hey, the game doesn't want you to farm infinite stress loss. Beyond that, cats bring a lot of flavor. They can find money, win over your vassals, and keep your castle rat-free. On the flip side, they can annoy your courtiers, or your spouse might develop an allergy, giving them a moderate health penalty. But honestly, you know what else gives a moderate health penalty? Being dead. So no, we are not giving up that cat. They also can keep you company when you're sick, and you'll get events like Clumsy Cat, Stress Reduction, or Cat Wrangler, a bonus to prowess. Of course, they might break your heart by running away or eventually passing from natural causes. If you have the Royal Court DLC, you even get a decision to display their fur on the wall. In real life, no thank you. Taxidermy cats are a nightmare fuel for sure. But in-game, absolutely free pelt, easy gold. Love to see it. So, where do cats rank? Given this channel's feline overlord, you'd probably expect me to say S tier. But honestly, compared to some of the other pets, cats land a solid B tier. Great bonuses, fun events, but a bit inconsistent overall. Will Bruce excommunicate me for this ranking? Maybe. Will he put a fatwa on my head? Only time will tell. Next up on the list are dogs. You can get one through having random events, or either a court event making a dog kennel, or if you have a domicile that has a special kennel edition. Much like cats, dogs give you bonuses and can charm your vassals and even sniff out some gold. Where they differ is their events. Dogs let you go on mental health walks, which reduces your stress and boosts your health. You can even bring them into your council meetings, where they might growl at your vassals you don't like, earning you a tiny bit of prestige. They also have a unique hunting event that can grant prestige or extra prowess, though sometimes at the cost of losing your loyal hound. Personally, I would never gamble my dog's life, but I know some of you sick pups out there probably would. Speaking of sick pup behavior, did you know in Crusader Kings 3, during my research, I discovered there are 2 of the most cruel pulse events. First off, if your rival has a cat or dog, you can literally murder it. I mean, wow, PDX, incest is one thing, but pet murder feels like crossing a line. The second is cat versus dog event. If you own both, there's a high chance they'll fight, and depending on how you react, you might lose one or even both. You can side with your cat and side with your dog, or be a terrible pet owner and let them sort it out themselves. If you're lucky, they'll actually become friends, or sometimes the event never triggers and they just get along fine, just like my boys Bruce and Andy. So, where do dogs rank? Well, we gave cats a B, and I know some of you might revolt here, but in CK3, I think dogs are simply the better pet. The long walks give you a huge health benefit. They share most of the same events as cats, and the extra support on hunting is just too good to ignore. Dogs are an A tier. Sorry, Bruce. Hunting eagles, the pet that I probably care about the least in this ranking. Why? Well, I've never really gone down the falconry path of hunting lifestyle, and honestly, they seem like the pet most likely to peck my eye out, especially with their creepy hoods they wear. I get it, the world's scary, but makes me feel like they're hiding something. In CK3, eagles work a lot like cats and dogs, but with one difference. They can be trained, and training them is actually pretty useful. Depending on the outcome, you can get stat boosts, better odds against hostile schemes, improving battle rolls, or even the ability to riz people up. I'm not kidding. The event text literally says that. I see you, Paradox. We know Ariana's been out here using falcons to riz up courtiers in her area code. On top of that, you can bond with your children by teaching them falconry, and like dogs, they have a unique event tied to hunting. Those events can net you extra hunting success, more experience, stress loss, artifact, or gold. And unlike cats and dogs, falcons will actually catch you a whole hare. At first, that sounds kind of useless, but if you break it down, you get 40 gold compared to the measly 2 gold from cats and dogs. Eventually, you can also release your eagle back into the wild, which earns you a feather keepsake. Nice sentiment, but let's be real, I'd rather sell that for 90 gold's worth. Where do they rank? Honestly, I like the versatility, the fact that you can train them into different roles and make them pretty solid. The hunting events are worthwhile, and the gold gain alone puts them ahead of a lot of other pets. The downside, no health or plague bonuses. Still, I'd place them as a A tier. I was tempted to push them to S, but I just can't bring myself to love falconry. That's pure bias talking. Warhorses. Probably the biggest animal on the entire ranking list, and honestly, one that kind of freaks me out. They're massive, they probably can smell fear, and I'm pretty sure one would trample me just for fun. In CK3, you can get a warhorse through the martial lifestyle, the wandering lifestyle, or from a pulse event. If you have the Royal Court DLC, you can also snag one through a special court event as well. Unlike other pets though, you don't get to name them yourself. You're given a handful of preset names, and if you pick the common one, the event background is just a giant horse head staring straight into your soul. Lovely. Like in real life, horses are expensive to maintain. They'll get sick, and you'll need to train them if you want the real benefit. Training can be done twice, and you get to choose between strength, agility, endurance, and fierceness. Out of them, strength is probably the best, levy size by 15%. Basically, your horse is so inspirational, thousands of peasants flock to your banners. Second best is fierceness, which can swing battles by giving you up to +6 advantage, absolute massive. The other two give stress loss and prowess, which is fine, but they don't really feel worth the training cost. Now, if you've got a master of horse court position, you can offload training to them. This not only removes the gold cost, but also gives you an opinion bonus boost with them. Downside, they pick the training bonus at random, so it's a bit of a gamble. But it's not all good news. Horses can become cursed. After that happens, enjoy your severe health debuff, or worse, getting straight up murdered by your own steed. Imagine explaining that death in the family history. So, where do horses rank? Honestly, this one's simple. You're telling me I can get more peasants for my armies, fight better in battles, and maybe risk being assassinated by a demon horse? That's pure S tier. High risk, high reward. Only downside is they won't let me name mine Big Bruce. Not going to lie, the last few pets are a bit of a stretch, and nowhere is that more obvious than the pet rock. They exist in our world, so hey, why not in CK3? You can only get one if your character has the eccentric trait. Then you have to wait for the Stepping Stones event to fire. From here, you can claim your very own rock and name it whatever you'd like, interacting with it just like you would a cat. You can wash it, bond with fellow rock enthusiasts, or even build a little house. Somehow they even become a dopey rock, which I don't know what kind of hallucination or imagination your eccentric ruler is dealing with, but sure. Unlike other pets though, Rock's story usually ends with it becoming just another brick in the wall. Literally. You can add it to your foundation of your capital, which cleverly grants you 15% construction speed bonus. It's not a choice, feels like fortification bonus would have made more sense, but hey, fast buildings are fast buildings. Ranking wise, it's a rock. Just because Gary Dahl made millions in the 70s selling them doesn't mean I'm ranking it high here. Most of the bonuses, like stress loss and stress gain, are weak. The only real upside is the 30 years of reduced construction time. So overall, Pet Rock lands in C tier. The next pet is definitely unique, though not exactly the most useful. To get one, you'll need the Royal Court DLC, since they come from the cumbersome gift event while holding court. A vassal shows up and offers you a bear, a tiger, or a lion. From there, you've got a couple options. Keep it for entertainment, skin it for a fancy rug, or my personal favorite, force your jester to try and ride it. If you keep the animal, you'll gain a solid boost to your court grandeur along with a small amount of monthly dread. That's not that bad on paper, but digging into the game files, there's also supposed to be a special feast event where you can bring the beast out. Outcomes can include someone getting injured or killed, your master of hunt intervenes, your jester rides the thing, or guests being impressed and intimidated. Sounds amazing, except for after hosting 10 feasts, I never once seen it actually happen. I swear I've experienced it in the past at some point, but maybe that was just me misremembering. As for ranking, easy. This one's a D tier. Sure, the grandeur and dread are nice, but outside of that, you'll never see your exotic pet chained up in the corner of your court, which would be amazing. And the feast event seems either bugged or way too rare. Honestly, they should just add a couple more animal character models to make these creatures feel like real court features instead of forgotten modifiers. Last and absolutely least are the dungeon pets. If you watched our Living Forever video, you might have caught them buried in that giant spreadsheet of modifiers. I bet most of you have never actually seen these pets, and honestly, that makes sense. Only way to get one is by being locked in someone else's dungeon and then suffering a mental break. Technically a silver lining, but definitely not worth going insane or starving to death. So how does it work? In your darkest hour, you can befriend a rock, a spoon, a cockroach, or a rat. Yes, really. They'll give you a tiny health bonus, which you'll need just to survive the dungeon, and some much needed stress loss. Basically, it's like SpongeBob hanging out with his friends in the cold, dank cell. Ranking, D tier. Sure, it's funny and rare, but the dungeon pets only stick around for about 5 years, and odds are you won't even live long enough if your captors are the torturous type. Too busy getting maimed in the most dastardly ways to enjoy the quality time with your cockroach. And with that, we have officially covered all the animals you can get in CK3. Unless, of course, you think the Jester and Stooge counts. In that case, well, really depends on how good they are at their jobs. But honestly, why stop here? Why can't we have a few more pets in our favorite medieval sim? Elephants and camels would make perfect sense since they're already in the game as men-at-arms units. Just let us keep a couple in the stable or parade them around our court. And hey, at this point, CK3 is practically half fictional anyway, so why not get wild? Bring back dire wolves and let us ride them into battle. And people always tell me, well, you can do that in AGOT mod, and you're probably right. I just haven't played that in a while. Besides, I'd rather ride the dragons. Anyways, that wraps up today's little rant and ranking. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what else you'd like to see us rank. Just please, for the love of all that is holy, do not say counties or baronies again, or I will start throwing hands. Any other suggestion is fair. That's all I've got for you today. If you enjoyed this video, support the channel by subscribing or sharing with a friend would mean the world. Have a good rest of your day. Ciao.